130% overfinanced and 120% overfinanced. I didn't read it quick enough to see if it was in the UK or the US or maybe Mauritius or Antigua or one of the other thieving tax havens for shit bags. But I get them all the time. I seem to get a preponderance of them during the seminar. And I don't hear from them. But speaking of that, when they filmed the documentary here a couple of weeks ago for the Financing the Future, and they were here 2.5 days, and some of the people in the being featured in the documentary are the Secretary General of NATO, Prime Ministers, Presidents, Obama, and myself. They spent between 15 and 30 minutes, 45 minutes with everybody else, and they spent 2.5 fucking days here. Success leaves clues, meatheads. 15 minutes with the Secretary General of the United Nations and 2.5 fucking days here. And to the best of my knowledge, none of the other pundits that you have podcasts of, have bought shit of, followed, sucked the ass of, are featured. Success leaves clues. Well, part of this, I was going through scrapbooks and shit, and we were going in the attic. And I told you, the story. I told my girlfriend when I was going off to supposedly war to, don't wait for me. Well, this is where I told her when she took me to met me at the at the airport in 1967. Don't wait for me, Sylvia. And she didn't. And if you're watching, sweetheart, contact me. I'm sure you're a little chubby old grandmother by now. But never underestimate how wrong you can be. I said it because I saw it in the movies. Don't wait for me, and then they wait, right? Fuck. Oh, that was her dad taking that picture. Her father took that picture. And, but she was so allegedly the love of my life because she was Hispanic, Latina, good-looking girl, smart, went to grade school, so think before you speak. Words are important. Words matter. So when I was going through the stuff to refresh my memory for this documentary, I came across that picture, which I had remembered that scene vividly. I can still remember it. Last night, oh, by the way, thank you for all, even though you're all cunts, thank you for all the birthday wishes, but my birthday's over. Okay, YouTube, but thank you very much. And thank you also for the gifts and the things that the kids have sent me. I appreciate it. Most of them have been frogs or a derivative of frogs, but that's fine. I collect them, so thank you, though. Like I have a frog tie on today. But thank you very much. But my birthday's over. And I will have a big party on my 75th. Probably not here like I had on my 70th. Probably in London at a big hotel or a big restaurant. But it's still in the planning. That's for Sally to do. Last night you saw fear. All of you should be able to relate to the goddamn thing, because you're all afeared. Even the purported tough six-packers we might have in the room. And remember, all those six-packers just stayed in their room when the psychopath was running around the halls of the castle. All the pill poppers, six-packers, 6% body fat, stayed in their room. That says volumes. If that had been in East LA The first guy would have killed him, the second guy would have mutilated him, and the third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth guy would have eaten him. And again, that's why I say the world is fucked. It's just, back in gunslinger days when they carried guns, or at least in America, if somebody disrespected, you stepped out in the street and shot it out. And now where you text them. You should have done that. You text them. Okay, what about the movie? Yes, sir.
Fear is a conditioning. It is conditioned.
Can you spreadsheet it?
Yes.
It's amazing how young I look there. I'm your age there. My kids see pictures of me and they don't believe. They think that I got somebody from Central Casting. That can't be you, Dad. That can't be you. What else? Yes, sir.
Fear is it spreads even through pheromones, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
So if I'm afraid Nicholas or Tom can pick up on that as well, and he potentially as well.
Yeah, and then the fear spreads into the mob mentality and the. But excitement also. During the World War I, when trench warfare, the Battle of the Somme, when a little young lieutenant my age with a little stick and a whistle, or going over the top, the knowing that the odds were 1 in 3 that you were going to get mutilated, they still did it because of the excitement, adrenaline. Adrenaline works, can work very much in a positive way. But when you think about it, that everybody knew. And then when they fought there at the Battle of the Somme for months and months and months, and they exchanged 50 or 100 yards back and forth, and every time you went by, you saw all your dead buddies. And then when the other ones come by, the Germans saw their dead buddies. And so it's a mass mentality, but courage can be a mass mentality as well. But if you are who you hang around with. Now, if the guy with the whistle, the little lieutenant, and if he says, "Okay, guys, go over," he's staying in the ditch. "Yeah, go over." No, very few guys are going to go over. And when we talk about leading from the front, that's a classic example. It's also a classic example of archaic, crazy warfare. They just used to line up against each other and fight. Of course, now they don't line up against anybody. You kill a lot of people with drones. Anything else?
Fear is good for you.
What?
Fear is good for you.
Phobias can you overcome if you're gradually exposed to it?
Well, I don't believe in the gradual. Because if it's left to your own devices, you won't push yourself hard enough. It's like the year program, the mentor program here. A lot of you will finish right at the wire, or just after the wire, because you've got a year. You use me as a crutch. And I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a crutch. And the reason I keep my crutches over there is when I had my knees done, they told me I should not stand like I stand for 2 or 3 years, depending on how I rehabbed. And the reason I wear these shoes is because it gives me extra support on my knees. They didn't tell me I wasn't going to be able to stand 6, 8, 10 hours at a crack when they put my knees in. They just give you it's kind of like personal development. They just give me a load of shit. They said I was going to be just like before. And I'm not. But I kept those there just to remind myself. The first seminar I gave after my second knee, and I had my knee surgeries too close together, 3.5 months apart. And a couple times I stumbled in the seminar. And the guys that were sitting here, they weren't jumping forward to help me. They just thought their 1-year mentor program would go down the toilet. But I slipped a couple times because I wasn't able to drag my legs around right. So that's why I wear these shoes. It makes it easier on my knees. Anything else about?
With the children, if the parent protects them, it's getting worse.
Correct. And most of your parents, they didn't do it, oh, I'm going to fuck my son or my daughter up, I'm going to protect him. Overprotective parents are the norm. And they want to protect you so you don't get hurt. Little kids, now they've got little things that you put over electric plugs so the kids can't stick their fingers in them. But when I got hit by a car, my dad hit me with a car by accident. We had an old Willys that had, like runner boards. You stand on the runner board, and the runner board had a piece of chrome, and the piece of chrome had come loose. So I was yelling, telling my dad I didn't want him to go. So I'm trying to chase the car down the driveway, and when he turned the wheel to pull out in the street, back in the street, he hit me with the runner board, and the chrome went through my knee, all the way through my knee. And so my mother's in panic, and my dad doesn't know I'm hooked to the runner board, and he doesn't remember that. Well, he didn't until he died. He didn't remember that. Then I'd show him my scar. Look, there's a big thing. Yeah, you got in a lot of trouble. It must have been something else. Remember, we have selective memories as we get older. What else?
They also said something, the test with the rats, the rodents.
By the way, that's what Sally, that's the kind of shrink Sally is. She's an animal. She can tell you all about the test. Go ahead.
So that they have a product to lower the feeling of fear, but that they only tested on the rodents and not on people yet?
Well, I mean, with all the testing they did during World War II, unbeknownst to the military guys, by giving them amphetamines, etc., so they could fight all day and all night. And the Russians, the Germans, and the Americans all did the same. And all the testing, unfortunately, to the black battalions and companies in the American Army, they tested, and there's a bunch of lawsuits that still haven't been settled, where they neutered, and they did a lot of things. And then, as I told you, when I went through officer training, they were putting electric batteries, wires on some of the guys, and there's still suits because it kept them from having kids afterwards. So a lot of the stuff that we would have tested on humans 50, 60, 70 years ago aren't tested on humans now. They're tested just on animals. And then the animal activists don't want you testing on the animals. So they're running around with placards out in front of embassies and out in front of big industrial companies, chemical companies, saying that this is wrong, and we shouldn't. The poor animal doesn't know what the hell. And of course, the animal doesn't, And then today, before we send somebody up into space, we sent monkeys. I think the Russians sent a dog. We sent a monkey, and the monkeys died. Now, just imagine trying to do that in 2018. There'd be people putting their bodies down on the runways over at Cape Canaveral to keep, from executing, as they say, some poor monkey. And then the news reels only showed in America when the first monkey came back alive. They didn't show the other 15, 20 that didn't make it back. They gave the ultimate sacrifice for their country. So the world, and I'm sure there's some balance. I don't know what it is, but it's just like there's no work-life balance. There's no balance. To make progress, to make an omelet, you got to break eggs. Anything else?
It's an effective tool to control people.
Pardon?
It's an effective tool to control people.
Absolutely. I know fear works. And I'm a proponent of it. And anybody who thinks any different is crazy, full of shit. I don't know what the right terminology. Fear still works. Just in athletics today. University of Central Florida, who won one of the national championships in football last year. The fear of not making the team, they use to recruit. Of course, they're one of the two national champions. And whoever the other one was, the fear of getting cut from the team. In athletics, the fear of not making the Olympic team. The fear of not getting good enough grades to get into Harvard or wherever the fuck you want to go to school. But they couch it differently now. They don't call it fear. They call it motivation, but motivation through fear works. And this program is one of its not pillars, but one of its precepts is that your fear of getting thrown out of the program and that not having me as a crutch for the whole year. And yet I'm going to read you, when Kim brings it to me, the little email I got, tweet on Twitter of this guy that got thrown out and then went out and did deals. Most of the people that even get thrown out still do deals. It's just that while you're here, ostensibly it's easier because you can bounce things off me and not make all the mistakes, although all the stuff is on the website. I told one of the guys yesterday, that everything is on the website, every single thing. And even people like Dan Loke, he puts, all the stuff he's got are the stuff that's in the public domain. There's a few things that he doesn't have on his website, and some of you found me through him, and or London Real, and or Michael from the Netherlands. But fear works, and carrot and the stick. Most of the great leaders use the carrot and the stick. They use the stick a lot less now. But the carrot, they want to hit the carrots, and then they discipline them. Discipline's the operative word, with a stick, but not literally with a stick. And it works. The people that want huge stock options at Google and Facebook and all these places, and when we talk about stock options, Bill Gates developed a very sophisticated option program at Microsoft because he wanted to have the employees be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And when you know you're going to get 50,000 options or 100,000 options or whatever the number of options, at the end of a period of time, based on performance, and share the wealth. And management by objectives is the system that Deming came up with to help resurrect Japan after World War II. But now management by objectives is linked to giving options from everybody from the chairman to the guy that sweeps the floor. Not necessarily the father of the Dutch guy that swept the floor, but the guy that sweeps the floor. So there's still a form of it, but now they've softened it up and not talked about it or referred to it as fearful. Anything else? Okay, you saw there was another thing.
Super rich, greed of money.
Greed. Greed is good. And I'll leave that to close for my YouTubers. Greed is good.